Hello, and welcome to today's session where we're going to learn the strangest secret to transformation. From these teachings come from the book, The Strangest Secret Coaching Method, written by my personal coach, Michael McIntosh. Too often we think we need to add more things to feel better. But more often than not, taking something away or letting go is actually the answer. In 1957, Earl Nightingale released a spoken work record entitled The Strangest Secret, which went on to sell over 1 million copies. The strangest secret of which he spoke could be summarized as you are now and you do become what you think about. In other words, we become what we think about most of the time. If you think about it, this is indeed a strange secret. What you hold in your mind most often times tends to manifest. Our thoughts hold massive power to create our external lives. Now, our consumer culture tells us that there is a product for all of our problems. Yet, the deeper cause of most suffering is not a lack of something, it's an abundance of the wrong things. Ironically, the solution may actually be the problem. What we need to do is remove what we call sacred poisons. Sacred poisons are our favorite things, special circumstances, habits, people, or objects that we love too much and may even consider sacred, but unfortunately are bad for us. Despite our love for them, sacred poisons weaken us and prevent us from reaching our highest potential. So, what we need to do is give up the sacred poisons and experience miracles. We can let go and be freed. Over time, what we like tends to become a habit and even an addiction or dependency. This obsession with things, people, or situations in turn leads to misuse and overuse of that substance, thing, person, or situation. And once that happens, we start to experience the negative consequences of our misuse. When we do something that is not in alignment with our original state for long enough, we begin to experience the negative consequences of it. Suffering occurs because a high level of attachment and dependency is unnatural and harmful. And so, to make things come back into balance, the universe has contained within it a law to balance things out that are out of balance. This law is called the law of karma, which simply means the law of action. So, karma means action, and often is the result of negative actions. So, like we talked about, is that it needs to balance out our suffering. The result of positive actions is contentment, success, and real happiness. If something is out of alignment, the consequences of that is that we experience various forms of pain. Pain is a messenger. It wants us to get the message and change course. So when we suffer personally or collectively, that suffering is a sign that something is out of alignment and we need to do something about it. This pain can be physical pain, mental pain, emotional, financial pain. But whatever it is, pain is simply a signal that we need to course correct, that something different needs to happen, a different path needs to be taken. For example, if we put our hand on a flame, we feel a burning sensation. This pain is designed to give us the message to move our hand away from the flame, otherwise, we'll burn our hand off. Pain is a necessary messenger. Once the message has been learned, you remove your hand from the flame and the pain subsides. But if we ignore the message, the pain will continue to increase. So, what is the message for you? What is your pain telling you? What is the universe trying to say to you? And the bigger question is, will you listen before the message needs to get really big? So, we want to find out what's really going on. What is the cause of your pain? What are you doing, eating, drinking, having, seeing, listening to, or connecting with that is causing you harm? Once you identify this, then you can heal. And this is a conversation that you need to get really real with yourself. We tell ourselves these simple little lies just so that we can continue our beliefs and our actions that we are addicted to but are no longer serving us. So start to ask yourself a few of these questions. Grab a piece of paper and a pen and pause the video whenever you need to, just to sit and contemplate. Now, I encourage you to take time to contemplate these questions and really look at your life and what you are doing. Now, ask yourself, what do you like doing too much? Is it drinking? Is it partying? Is it spending too much time sitting around watching TV? All of these habits that we do give us something. So you also want to think about, when you're recognizing what some of these things are, what is this giving me? But what is it taking away from me? What secret habits do you have that you know are bad for you? I've had secret habits in the past. One of them used to be when I was had a massive sugar addiction. I would hide eating sugar from everybody. I would never eat it in front of anybody, but I would eat it in secret, and it wasn't doing me any good. What foods do you love to eat the most? Food addiction is a huge problem in our world today. And we often don't think much about it because food is so social, food is accepted. But the problem is, the kinds of foods that we're eating nowadays are very addictive and detrimental. Kind of along that lines, what treats do you like the most? Now, this doesn't necessarily need to be food, but are you treating yourself with something that could be possibly causing you harm? What addictive behaviors do you like the most? What are you addicted to? Healthy or unhealthy behaviors? Because little things add up, the positive or negative. Many of the things you do once or twice don't have a serious impact on you right away. The messages may only come a little later, and so it's not obvious right away. It's what happens over time. And as a like becomes a want and then a need, that's when you need to be aware of it. Over time, these little poor choices add up and start wreaking havoc on your life. Just like the little things you choose to give up and positive choices you make also add up and allow you to achieve things and experience things that would never otherwise be possible. Letting go is power. When you let go of sacred poisons such as certain foods, entertainment, news, drugs, alcohol, sexual habits, oversleeping, undersleeping, overwork, underwork, people, you're taking control of your life and choosing power and freedom over subservience and weakness. When you give up something that's harmful to your well being, you are telling yourself, I am in charge of my own life. I can choose what I do and what I don't do. I am the master of myself. From an unlimited spiritual perspective, pain is a result of subservience and dependency to various things somewhere along the way, whether this life or previous lives. And we claim back our power and control over our mind, body, and lives. We end up this cycle of pain and come back into an experience of happiness, well being, and harmony. Less is more to a point. When you give up something you are unhealthily obsessed with, it opens up the doors to healing and well being. But we want to make sure we don't take it too far. Some people go too far when it comes to giving things up, and that obsession with less and less and less can also become its own addiction. Now, there are 5 stages of the sacred secret. Let's go through them now. Stage 1, discover your sacred poisons. What's causing the problem? What are you addicted to? Take a good hard look at those things. Some of these sacred poisons can include drugs and alcohol, food and supplements, different thoughts or beliefs that you're addicted to, people, situations, work, all of these things. So I'm going to go back to the thoughts for a moment. Sometimes we don't realize that we are addicted to certain thoughts. Some people get addicted to thoughts such as, I can't do this, or I'm not this, or I hate this, those sorts of things. Those thoughts can be addictions because at some point you've gotten something from holding on to that thought. Maybe you've gotten attention from someone. Oh no, you're not like that at all. That can be an addiction. Work can be a huge addiction. And even if you enjoy your work, sometimes you end up sacrificing pieces of yourself to work because you're addicted to it. Certain music and entertainment we can be addicted to, and yet some music and some entertainment has been proven and shown to relate and connect to the low vibrations of ourselves, which then in turn cause harm. Shopping can be a massive addiction. And of course, now we know cell phones, computers, apps, and software are a massive addiction. Types of pain. Let's go through those now. I encourage you to again get your piece of paper and pen and write down some of the answers to these questions. Pause the video as you need to. So let's start with physical pain or anything that was relating to health. So start by asking yourself, what are some of your favorite foods? What do you like to eat the most? And what are some of these things that you're eating, maybe even every single day? Outside of food, what are you doing for activity? Are you not doing enough activity? Or are you doing too much activity? Because either one can cause problems. Financial pain. This relates to anything to do with money. What do you spend your money on? Are they things that are harmful or are they things that are helpful? What do you like to do that is harming your ability to make money? What is preventing you from creating value and increasing your income? Perhaps you've always wanted to start your own business, but the thoughts in your mind that you've created and the beliefs that you're addicted to tell you to stay playing small and that you can't do it. It's worth reading the book The Millionaire Next Door for clarity on who the real millionaires are and how people really become rich. And it's not what you think. It's a great read. Most millionaires are very frugal and financially responsible people. Mental, emotional pain. This is a result of people living outside of their alignment with their true purpose, or putting up with situations instead of changing them, and falling into comfort instead of living a meaningful life. So, what do you like to do the most? Are you addicted to low value entertainment, such as streaming various TV shows, right, every night? What are you doing to seek comfort? Do you hide and seek solitude because you feel uncomfortable and maybe it pushes you too far outside of your comfort zone to get out there and talk to people? What do you find yourself pulled to do when seeking comfort? And where do you waste a lot of your time? These are such great questions that all of us need to ask ourselves. Now, behavioral issues. Some people have various OCD behavioral addictions that trap them in negative cycles and suffering. Others have things they like to do but can cause problems in various ways. So, again, what do you like to do the most? What are the things that you like to do the most that you know are bad for you? What do you like doing most that you keep a secret from others? What do you like to do that you're ashamed of? What do you do when you're stressed and you need an escape from the stress of life? Relationships. Most people have toxic relationships, secret relationships, maybe even affairs, and other types of dysfunctional relationships. Toxic, addictive interactions can be a huge drain to a person's well being and joy. Even in good relationships, people may like each other so much they don't spend much time alone, which means they're not having the time for themselves or facing their stuff and dealing with their issues. So think about this. What relationships do you obsess about the most? Do you have a secret relationship? Do you feel trapped in a relationship anywhere? What relationships do you have that you know are draining you? Are there any toxic people in your life? So take a moment now to go through all those different areas of pain and just take note. So, stage two is letting go. Now, to let go of certain things in your life, it might just only be for a short time, and you'll find something more positive to replace it with, such as finally getting the results you desire and living the life of your dreams. The, the key here is committing to releasing what's no longer serving you and trust that it will heal you and what will serve you will come into your life. Really important questions to ask yourself now. Are you willing to do what you need to get what you want? And I really love this question. I'll use a quick example. I've gotten clients who say, I want six-pack abs. And I look at them and I say, are you willing to do what it takes to get six-pack abs? Because it is a very depriving lifestyle and restrictive lifestyle. Are you willing to do that? and they say, well, not really. I know I personally am not. I like to be fit. I like to be healthy, but I'm not willing to deprive myself to that point. Do you feel it would be beneficial for you to try and let these things go? Take a look at some of these things. You might be thinking, I don't want to let them go, but would it be beneficial for you? Chances are yes. And then the last question, do you really want change? Oftentimes we say we want change, but then we're not willing to do what it takes to get that change, which then comes back to we don't really want the change. So it's a good question. Do you really want the change that you're saying that you want? And remember, it doesn't have to be forever. Experiment for a month or so, maybe even see it as a game. Stage 3. You may find it easier to release that which is no longer serving you if you replace it with something more positive. For example, replace watching excessive amounts of TV with reading inspiring books. Now, I also suggest surrounding yourself with a positive and supportive thing or a person to really help you release the thing that's no longer serving you. And, getting a buddy is a really great way to do that. So ask yourself, what can I do, or what can you do, or what can you add to fill this void that you might feeling when you release your sacred poison? Will this new thing help you avoid acting out the old habit? Do you feel good about your new habit, or is it just another sacred poison? Is it just another addictive behavior that you're replacing your other addictive behavior with? And is it really going to work? Now, stage 4. This is my favorite. To make the shift into a new life and a new way of living, you need to learn to see yourself as the person who has released the negative and step into your new higher self. Be the person you aspire to be. So, if you want to release, let's say, processed food, you're going to start to believe and tell yourself that I am someone who eats healthy. I am someone who allows myself to eat healthy, right? To see how I phrase that in a very positive way. So now, who do you want to become? Or what do you want to become? What is your higher goal or your aim for your life? Make sure it's a positive image rather than a negative one. And now it's time to fully embrace this vision. See it, hear it, feel it, embrace all your senses as you step into this higher self. Now it's time to take action. Self image creates our actions, but also the self image is enforced by action. So we need to change both and prove to ourselves that, yes, indeed, I am the type of person who is like that and does that. So take action. Be the person you desire to be. Make it easy. Take simple little steps that allow you to step into being that person. Make it obvious. Pair it with an existing behavior, perhaps. Step 5. To help sustain your newfound freedom, new self image, and not relapse, find a source of loving accountability. When you have this accountability, it will help you stay strong, focused on your goals, and make long lasting changes. So, what do I mean by loving accountability? It means finding someone who has your best interest at hand, someone who wants to see you succeed in your goals. So, not somebody who's going to feel jealous or wants to see you, that toxic relationship, but find somebody that helps you hold yourself accountable. And it should make you a bit uncomfortable. What that means is that if you choose not to do the activity that you've committed to, something basically, not doing the activity should feel harder than actually doing the activity when you've got a really good accountability buddy. So, some people can give things up without any form of accountability, which is awesome, good for them, but most can't, especially if it's something that they really, really like. So, what this means is it isn't in your highest interest to set up accountability so that you can follow through with your intentions, even when you feel like your cravings are reverting back to your own ways. Accountability tends to freak people out because it means you actually have to do what you say. And I think too often than not, we say we want to do something, but then it's just easy not to do it. But despite the initial resistance to doing it, in the end, accountability leads to wonderful results, and it's not as shocking as it may initially seem. This is why you want to find someone who loves you, someone who will, find a buddy or maybe a coach or a neutral person. So, for those of you who are in the coaching group, the weekly coaching call, that is your loving accountability. That is a safe space for you to come to and say, hey, this is what I accomplished this week. And we can all celebrate you together. But you can also say, this is what I committed to, and I fell a bit short. Can I get your help and support on making sure that doesn't happen this week? You know, Thinking about things that, what will you do if you succeed? Maybe you've always wanted to go to a certain spa and you say, okay, I'm going to commit to something for 21 days. And if and when I do it, I'm going to treat myself to a spa treatment. How much fun is that? And then you also want to think, well, what will I do or what will happen if I don't do this thing? So I had a coach once who was holding one of these ladies accountable. So we were in a call, a big group thing. And he said, okay, what is it that you want? So hers was about building her business and wanting more financial success. And he said, okay, great. So what is it that you want? So she said, okay, this is where I'd like to be a year from now. And he said, do you really want it? And she said, yeah, I really want it. Okay. Are you willing to do what it takes to get there? Yeah, definitely. Okay. Here's your accountability challenge. So think about think about a number. How much money would kind of, if you had to give it up, it would hurt a bit, but it wouldn't bankrupt you. It wouldn't break you. And so she said a number. And he's like, okay, that's the number. And she said, yeah. And he said, okay, think about somebody who you just don't really like right now. Somebody from your past, somebody who's like, I'd just rather this person not be in my life. And she said, well, that would be my ex boyfriend. That's pretty easy. And he said, okay, no problem. So if you do not reach your dreams or your commitments, you are going to give your ex that amount of money. Well, she went, no, no way. And he went, then you don't really want it, do you? Because what you're saying right now is that you're not willing to commit to that because you believe you will fall short. And I thought, wow, what a powerful, powerful way to look at it. So think about that. Are you actually willing to commit to your goals? Are you willing? Are you actually willing to do what it takes to hold yourself accountable to get to where you want to go? It's easy to wake up in the morning and say, I don't feel like doing that. I'm too scared to do that. So I'm just going to stay in my comfort zone. We all do it. But staying in our comfort zones never helps us get to our dreams. So I encourage you now to look at what you like to do too much and what you might be addicted to, healthy or otherwise. Decide to challenge yourself and let them go, at least for a month. Maybe even do a 21-day challenge. Take action on it. Find something that's going to hold you accountable. Maybe post in the Facebook group. Maybe ask somebody in the group, would you hold me accountable to this? And I'm happy to do the same. So I challenge you to release your sacred poisons and reach for the stars and truly commit to achieving your dreams.